This morning I had my longest lucid dream on accident, bro, and I went through some stuff. I'm telling you. It started off where I was watching like the birthday party of some child in India, and there was like some middle-aged Indian man next to this kid. I don't know what he was doing. He got paid by the parents to be at this party to do some shit, I don't know. But then I soon transitioned into being that middle-aged Indian guy, and I was now myself. And then as I became myself, the kids started like throwing rocks at me and chasing me around. And I was thinking like, this is fucking annoying. This is really bad. And then his mother started apologizing to me and like trying to catch the kid. And eventually she caught up with him and stopped him from throwing rocks. And I was like, okay, whatever. But then that Indian woman, the mother, then transitioned into my own mom, and the kid disappeared. And now my mom was holding like a baby, like in a bundle. You know how you know how you hold babies? I don't fucking know. She was holding a baby, and she like passed it to me, and she was like, hold the baby like this. And I was like, okay, whatever. And I took it, and then she was like, no, you need to hold it in this certain way. And my mom was being annoying, and I was like getting annoyed, and I was like, fucking hell, I'm holding the baby properly, whatever. And we soon then ended up on a street that was pretty busy with like a bunch of people from the party, and I handed the baby back to my mom because I was like, I don't want to deal with that. And around here I started gaining some awareness. I started looking around, and I was like, you know, something kind of feels off. What the fuck am I doing here? This is kind of weird. And then like the more annoying my mom became, the more awareness I gained, until I then realized that I was actually in a dream and I could go and do anything I want. So I waved goodbye to my mom, realizing I was in a dream, and I took off flying, and I started flying like around this city. And I don't really know how I ended up here, but I kind of landed, and I ended up in like a school. It kind of looked like the high school I went to, but the layout was kind of different. You know how in dreams, like the layout of something looks completely fucking different, but like it just has the same kind of like vibe, you know? So I landed at my school, and it was like really busy, and there was a bunch of people walking around, not just students, but also like adults as well, and people older than me, and no one was like wearing school uniforms. So I don't know what was going on there, but I decided, since I knew I was in a dream, I wanted to ask some dream characters, the people in my dreams, some questions, because that's like my favorite shit ever, bro. You already know, like, if I become lucid, the first thing I do is just ask dream characters random shit. I just love doing it. I don't know why. So I saw another Indian woman. I don't know why Indian shit keeps popping up in my dreams, okay? I don't know why, but I saw an Indian woman. She had like straight black hair. She was like middle-aged. She was wearing a blue jacket, and I went up to her, and I was like, I asked her, what's the thing you dislike most? I don't know why that it just popped into my head. And she thought for a moment, and then she said she dislikes rain the most. And then she kind of headed off because she was busy. She seemed to be in a rush, but she said she disliked rain. I also said to her, you know, you're in my dream, right? And she said, yeah, she didn't really care, but she like had shit to do. So I was like, yeah, thanks for the answer. You know, you're in my dream and you dislike rain. And I thought that was interesting because for me personally, I fucking love rain. Like, rain puts me straight to sleep. Yeah, I just love rain. Rain's S tier. It's 10 out of 10. So for me to love rain, but for like a part of my brain to say they dislike rain the most, I thought was interesting. I don't know what was up with that. And then after that woman, when she walked away, I went to two more men and asked them questions as well. Now, unfortunately, I have no fucking recollection of what I asked them or what answers they gave me. All I know is that I asked them something and they gave me answers, and it was interesting. Unfortunately, I haven't really been dream journaling recently, I can't lie, so my dream recall is kind of shit. So I'm kind of pissed about that, but at least I remembered what the woman told me, right? And then after that, I started walking around more, and then I came across a group of people I went to high school with and primary school with. Like here in Australia, primary school's like, it's like from when you're 5 years old to like 12 years old. I don't know what that fucking shit is in America, right? But I met a bunch of people from my high school and primary school. They were all the same age as me now, and they were wearing the school uniform from my high school. And when I met up with them, we kind of just like, I don't really know what we were talking about, just like I don't know, shit, I don't even remember, just small talk or something. And then I turned to all of them and I said, guys, you're in my dream. I love doing that shit as well. I love telling dream characters in a lucid dream they're in my dream to see how they react. So I was like, guys, you're in my dream. And they kind of all glanced at me, but continued their own conversations. They didn't pay me much attention. But this just made me like want to keep shouting at them and trolling them more. So I was like, guys, you're in my fucking dream. You're in my head. You're all in my dream. And then they all kind of turned to me and start looking at me more as I'm shouting, you're in my dream. And then soon they start giving me like really wide eye looks, like that shit. And as they did that, it reminded me of all those like Reddit stories. You know the shit like about lucid dreams? People always go on about this bullshit. Don't tell dream characters in a lucid dream they're dreaming. They'll like turn on you and attack you or some shit. I don't know if you've heard about that. If you've ever searched up lucid dreaming stuff, you've probably seen that. Don't tell dream characters in a dream, blah blah blah. I know that's bullshit because I've had so many lucid dreams, but that kind of popped into my head because they all turned to me and like were looking at me wide-eyed while I was telling them they were just in my head. So I kept doing that and they kept all like surrounding me and making me kind of like fucking claustrophobic, right? I was like, wait, this is actually kind of concerning. But then at the same time, we all started laughing and we just started laughing, and then they told me that they didn't give a fuck that they were in my dreams. They were like, nah, bro, we don't even care we're in your dream. We already know. They were just trolling me. And then I was laughing with them about how retarded Redditors are, spreading all these weird fucking lucid dreaming stories. We talked about how retarded Reddit is. And then we started kind of just talking about like some small talk shit. I think around here, my awareness must have like gone down a bit. I still kind of knew I was in a dream, but my awareness just lowered, right? And they started, like someone I knew from school started talking about how my eyes were looking green in like a certain light. They actually kind of do. Like, I don't know, like in the sun, they look kind of green. I don't fucking know, but they started talking about that, right? And then we all kind of started walking together towards a classroom. And then we all entered into like a crowded classroom. And at the head of the class was a teacher from my high school who was teaching. And I noticed that when I sat down in the class to listen to this teacher, that's why I say my awareness was lowered, because why the fuck would I walk into a classroom if I knew I was in a dream, right? So my awareness kind of like dipped here. A dream character I noticed sat down next to me. It was a guy who looked around the same age as me, at most like a year younger. And this was a dream character created by my mind. So I've never seen this guy in my life, made up by my head. He kind of had short blonde hair and freckles, but I don't remember if his hair was like blue his eyes, I don't remember if they were blue or brown, one of those. And he was wearing as well the school uniform of my high school that everyone else was wearing. He sat down next to me. I don't think I talked to him, but for some reason I felt like some kind of friendship connection with him. I don't know why. So when the teacher started talking, I started talking to this blonde dude. I don't know what we were talking about, but the teacher, in typical fucking teacher fashion, started getting angry that we were talking over him. And he was like, you two, stand up and like move away from each other. You know, typical teacher shit. We've all been through that, right? And that kind of raised my awareness after the teacher was being retarded because I was pissed. And then once my awareness went back up, I realized, wait, I'm in a dream. Why the fuck am I in a classroom, like following the teacher's instructions? I can do anything I want. So yeah, I followed that bitch's instructions and I got up and I left the fucking classroom, bro. I left the classroom and I was walking past it, not knowing really what I was gonna do next. I just started walking and then I glanced to my right and I saw the guy that sat down next to me was with me and following me. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, he decided to follow me instead of staying in the classroom, right? So I was like, bro, you know you're in my dream, right? And he was like, yeah. And I think he said he didn't really mind being in my dream. He didn't really give a fuck. And another thing I love doing in a lucid dream is asking the names of dream characters to see what my brain comes up with. So I was like, okay, bro, you know you're in my dream. What's your name? Then he said, my name's Sync. I I was like, what the fuck? He said his name's Sink, like a water sink, bro. And I laughed and I was like, Sink, that's an interesting name, bro. And then he was like, yeah, it's of Indian and North American descent, I think he said. Oh, and then I started laughing. I was like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna have to search that when I wake up, bro. And then we kind of kept walking. And I know we talked about more stuff that I can't unfortunately recall now, but around this time as well, I was thinking like, wow, I've been in this lucid dream for like a long time. I think I was telling Sink, my new friend, I was like, bro, I don't even know how I'm still like asleep. I should have woken up by now, right? At this point, it felt like I had been here for a while. So I used the opportunity as we were walking, and by now we reached like some city. We were like crossing the road. I used this opportunity to remind myself of what had happened in the lucid dream. So like when I wake up, I can write it down, because if you're in a lucid dream for a while, so much shit happens and like you need to remember it all. So I started repeating in my head like what the woman in the blue jacket told me, like how she dislikes rain. I was walking and I was like, oh, the woman in the blue jacket told me she dislikes rain. And I also reminded myself of what the two other guys said to me. Remember, I said I talked to two other guys that I don't remember what they said. But as I was walking, I was reminding myself of that, but I still cannot fucking remember it, bro. So clearly I didn't do it properly. But yeah, we were walking, we went on the sidewalk. I was like, bro, I've been in this lucid dream for ages. At this point, we kind of become friends, right? And I see like a bunch of shops with like a ton of food, and I'm like, Sink, bro, why don't we go and eat like a shit ton of dream food to see if it actually tastes real? And then he was like, yeah, we should do that. And this guy, like this dream character Sink, let me get water actually. I've been yapping for a while. This guy Sink, he seemed very conscious. Like he seemed to completely understand everything that I was saying. He never said anything that, you know how people in dreams kind of speak dream gibberish, whatever, and say random shit? He never did that. He seemed very coherent and conscious. So I was like, yeah, let's go eat some fucking dream food. So we went into this store where no one was working, and we just started grabbing like a bunch of food off the shelves. And he was eating like, he had a bunch of shit in his arms, and he handed me a chocolate chip cookie while he was eating like a blueberry scone. You know, like in America, it's like a biscuit, right? Like a fucking, those dry things. I don't fucking know. Those dry biscuit things. He was eating that. He handed me a cookie. I looked at the cookie and then I started eating it, and it was crunchy. And I was like, holy shit, it actually tastes like a chocolate chip cookie. Because, you know, I've had a lot of lucid dreams, but I haven't eaten much shit in them. But this chocolate chip cookie tasted like a fucking chocolate chip cookie, bro. It was so good. And then he was like, yeah, this blueberry scone tastes exactly like that as well. And then we left with all our cookies, and I was eating it. It was so fucking dope, bro. I can't even like put into words how nice this was, right? And then we left and went into another store where once again, there was an Indian woman like at the cash register working here, and for some reason Sink put down all the he put down all the food as if we needed to pay for it. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? It's a dream, bro. I don't know what he was doing, but he wanted to pay for it for some reason. And I was thinking, it just got me thinking about like how crazy this lucid dream was in the moment. I was like, holy shit, I am in my head right now. I'm literally just walking around inside my mind. My mind is simulating a whole store. And I was like, do you guys know? What did I say? No, I was like, do you guys like being in my head? That's what I asked the woman at the cash register and Sink. I was like, do you guys, sorry, that also is so fucking weird. I'm talking about a dude named Sink. That may be like one of the best names my dreams ever fucking given me. But yeah, I was like, do you guys like being in my head? And the woman at the cash register kind of nodded and smiled, but she didn't like respond. And then Sink thought for a moment, and then he was like, yeah, I like being in your head. And when he answered that to me, I was like, that's cool as fuck. And it got me thinking about, I don't know how to describe this to you in like in like a small amount of words. It got me thinking about this lucid dreaming kind of rabbit hole I went down ages ago on this forum where there was like, this is off topic, but there was like this lucid dreamer who talked about instead of him waking up as his consciousness, instead making a dream character from his dreams wake up in his body and like I don't know if that shit makes sense. I don't know how to describe it. I just remember there was this weird lucid dreamer on this forum talking about what if he could get a dream character to take over his consciousness and like so when he wakes up it's actually not him in his body, it's the dream character. I don't know, that sounds schizophrenic as fuck. I don't know if that makes sense. But I turned to Sync and I was like, bro, I was like, if you could, would you come with me when I woke up? Like, if you could take your consciousness up with mine when I woke up in the real world, would you do it? And he thought for a moment, he considered, and he said, yeah, I would do it, but first I need to ask permission from my dad. I'm not even making that up. He said he had to ask permission from his dad. I was like, okay, interesting. I was thinking it's kind of funny, like, how a dream character, a made-up dude in my head, has to ask permission for that shit. And also, by now, I was like, I had spent a good amount of time with this guy. It may not seem like it, but by now the dream, it felt like it had been going on for like 40 minutes or some shit. Like, by far, so far, the longest lucid dream I've ever had while we're standing in this store. And so I kind of felt like I had like a brotherly connection to Sync, right? Like, he was a dope motherfucker. He was really nice. And you know, like in a lucid dream, you can spawn dream characters, you can spawn anyone you want. And so that means you can spawn dream characters over several different dreams. So if I woke up and then I had a lucid dream the next night, I could spawn Sync and talk to him again if you're regularly having lucid dreams. But I was thinking recently, firstly, I haven't been having that many lucid dreams. Secondly, recently, I'm not gonna lie, my dream control's been shit. So like a lot of the times I try and do stuff like spawn someone, and most times it works, right? But sometimes there's periods where I try to spawn someone in a lucid dream and it doesn't work. Don't worry, this links in with what I'm about to say. So my point is, I was like, shit, after I wake up, because I know I was gonna wake up eventually, I was like, I'm gonna want to see Sync in another lucid dream in the future. But I turned to Sync and I'm like, bro, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes my lucid dream control's kind of shit. This is what I'm saying to Sync, right? Okay, keep in mind. I was like, bro, sometimes my dream control's kind of shit. And like, sometimes I try to spawn people, but I can't. And I was like, I'm concerned that in a future lucid dream, I'll want to see you again, but I won't be able to see you because like, what if my dream controls shit or something, bro? You know, I was concerned because like, what if I wake up now and I never see this motherfucker again? That's like really sad, even though he's in my head. I know this sounds like schizo as fuck, but whatever. And he looks at me, he considers for a moment, and then he smiles. He doesn't act all depressed. He doesn't try and console me. He smiles and he says to me, oh boy, do I have just the thing for you? I was like, wait, what are you talking about, bruv? I just said I'm concerned I won't be able to see you again. And he smiles and says he has something for me. And then he says, follow me. And so I do. I follow Sync out of the store. And I don't really recall how exactly the transition happens. But the next thing I know, I'm running with super speed, following Sync as he's driving like some white SUV down this long road, and I'm like way behind him, trying to catch up with my super speed running. And on either side are like trees and shit. I don't really know how we got here, but this is just the next thing I remember, right? And he's driving so fast, I can't even catch up to him. So I like jump and leap and then I start flying. And as I'm flying, I see that Sync is leading me to like some military base that's like heavily guarded with a bunch of armed guards, right, with guns. And then we both arrive at this military base at the same time. And here is when I can say I think my awareness dips again, and I'll explain why in a moment. But like, just keep in mind, my kind of thoughts that this is a dream, they kind of go lower. So it's like when your awareness lowers in a lucid dream, you may do kind of stupid shit because you kind of temporarily forget that you're in a dream and can do anything you want, right? So around here, we start shooting at these armed guards, and I don't really know what's happening. I'm following Sync's lead, right? I'm following his lead. He has a plan. He said I should follow him. So we're shooting at these motherfuckers, and then I die and Sync dies as well. But after we get shot, we like respawn as if we're in a video game or some shit. And then after we respawn, we go back in with our AK-47s and we start shooting the guards again. But then we die again and I go to Sync. I'm like, bro, I don't think we can handle all these guards. I don't think we can do this shit. Whatever plan you have, Sync, whatever plan you have, I don't think it's gonna work. And then he looks at me again and he smiles and he says, don't worry, we got what we came for. And I was like, wait, what? And then he's like, follow me once again. So we leave the armed guards. We don't have to deal with them anymore. We both start flying and then we soon end up on the shores of like a lake or maybe a river, right? We end up on the shores of a river or lake or some shit. And he takes out a glass bottle with like this yellowish liquid in it, and he tells me this is an alcohol called yam. I don't know if you know what yams are. I think they're like, I don't know what that is. I think that's like a vegetable or some shit. Anyways, he says this alcohol is in this glass bottle is named yam, and he starts going into like some sciencey lecture about how the alcohol's not the important thing. The important thing in this bottle is like the 10 or 20% of salt that's in it. And he basically says while we were fighting the soldiers at that armed base, he like stole this yam from them. I don't fucking know what it was, but like apparently the whole reason we went to the military base was like so he could take this yam thing, right? And then he hands the bottle to me, and all the while I'm thinking like, what the fuck does this have to do with me spawning you in a future lucid dream? What does this have to do with my dream control? That's what I'm thinking. And then he tells me this. He says, every time I have problems with dream control, like controlling my dream, doing what I want in a lucid dream, right? He says every time I have issues, I should just drink this alcohol. Because there was some shit about like the yam or like the salt in the yam that will like help my dream control or something like that. And I remember while he was doing the whole sciencey lecture, I was once again like, yeah, bro, I'm gonna have to search that shit up when I wake up. I don't really know what it was about. But he hands me this alcohol, and at this moment, I realize I've been in the dream. Of course, I thank him for it, right? I thank him, and I'm like happy as fuck. And I'm like, this is sick. But I realize I've been in the dream for what feels like over an hour now. And at this point, I'm like, I don't even know if I can remember all this shit. Like, you know what I mean? It's been so long. I've been here for what feels like an hour. I don't want to forget anything. So I turn to Sync. I go, bro, this has been super fun, but I should probably wake myself up. I've done that like a few times when the lucid dream gets so long, I think I'm forgetting shit. And so like, I want to wake myself up so I can quickly write down everything that's happened in the lucid dream. So I'm like, yeah, Sync, I gotta wake up, bro. Like, it's been an hour. I think I'm gonna start forgetting shit. But I was like, this is fun. We need to meet again. And then he's like, yeah, I understand. You should wake yourself up. We'll meet again. And he tells me, don't forget to drink the yam if you ever have dream control issues. So we shake hands. I dap bro up. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go now. So I close my eyes and I start thinking about my sleeping body, which normally wakes me up. And when I open my eyes, I find that I'm standing on a city street. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm still not awake. I'm still in a dream. And I look around and see I have the bottle of this alcohol called yam in my left hand. And I open the glass bottle and start drinking it. It doesn't really taste like anything. The way I would describe it is like a mild apple juice or something. It tastes pretty good. And then once it's ran out, I put the bottle in my pocket, and I have this thing in lucid dreams where if I just pretend there's something in my pocket, it kind of appears there. So if I go like, oh, there's keys to a Lamborghini in my pocket, like act as if I just remembered and forgot that it was there, then the keys to the Lamborghini will be in my pocket, right? Hopefully that makes sense. I'm yapping really fast. Hopefully this all makes sense and isn't too schizo. So I put the alcohol in my pocket and I was like, oh, there's a full bottle of yam in my pocket. I just remembered. And then when I took out the bottle, it was full with this yellow alcohol once again. So I was like, this is so cool. But then after that, I actually woke up. I woke up in my bed. It was like 4 a.m. and I was like, holy shit. That was like the longest, coolest lucid dream I've ever had. And it wasn't even intentional. I didn't do a lucid dreaming technique. I don't know what happened to cause it, but that's like a top 5 Tiger123 lucid dream, bro. Like that shit, that may even be the best lucid dream I've had, and I've had hundreds of them. Because you know what was so good about it was that firstly, I was constantly engaged in the dream. Obviously, that probably played a part in why I stayed in it so long. But secondly, even when I stopped to think about shit in the lucid dream, it never felt like I was gonna wake up. Like, you know, I don't know if you've ever had a lucid dream, but if you have a lucid dream, you can kind of tell when you're about to wake up. Things start getting like destabilized and like blurry and shit. But I never once felt that. I never felt like I was gonna wake up. Like I was so completely grounded in the dream. It was fucking crazy. And Sync as well. That's like a top 5 Tiger123 dream character, bro. I'm so happy I met that motherfucker. And I took like 1 hour, over 1 hour writing that shit. So it was fun. I got a lot of shit done in that hour. I woke up at 4 a.m. It was 4 a.m., but I had a shit ton of energy. So that shit was sick. I honestly couldn't wait to tell you. I wasn't even gonna talk to you about shit today, but I couldn't wait to tell you this because it was just so fun. I don't know if you're still listening to me yet, but like the video, leave me a comment. I'll probably reply to it if it's like not retarded. And subscribe to me and join the Discord. I love you. I love you. I love you. That shit was so good, bro. Oh my god. Honestly though, I'm gonna get back into lucid dreaming because of that shit. I need to get back into lucid dreaming. That made me want to. But anyways, I love you.